I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe. There is currently an HOA Karen serving on the board. Since she joined the board in 2021, there has been a high turnover rate of board members. The last year alone, 2 presidents resigned and 2 other members also resigned. I've been a homeowner since 2020, and the only board members I've seen resign were owners who sold their homes. One of my neighbors was bullied to resign by her in 2022. A lot of people support her because she talks herself up like a sleazy car salesman and people believe her. And she also has supporters on the board. This complex has experienced an increased level of crime within the past 2 years, ranging from mail, package theft, catalytic converter, auto, broken car windows and entire cars, theft, abandoned stolen vehicles, and even 2 carjackings. This board member got rid of the roaming security. She reasoned that it is because they did not deter crime. Of all the incidents listed, package theft was the only crime that occurred when we did have security. She constantly advises the owners and renters to not call the police because it will bring property values down. Every time someone brings up the crime, she either ignores it, berates us for leaving stuff in our cars and not being home to get our packages, or shuts people down by spouting out incorrect crime facts. For whatever reason, our HOA fees have doubled since I purchased in 2020. When I questioned her about the fees and requested an official audit by an outside company, she flipped out. She went on to say how she's a professor and it took her months and months to get the finances straight. She's a nutrition professor and tries to work that into every conversation. Depending on the condo layout and type, there is a reserve account for each section. The units had the most money in the reserves because we have the oldest buildings. Since she's been in office, the reserve account for the unit section I live in was depleted to pay for construction issues with the new $1 million condos. She is making the homeowners in our section pay it back. More recently, she tried to hit me with her car while pulling into the motor court where her garage is located. Some of the condo units have a motor court, where there are 10 condos that access their garages via one driveway, and it is somewhat T-shaped. 2 cars can drive in and out of the driveway. That's how wide it is. I live in condos that do not have a sidewalk on my side of the street. In order for anyone who lives on my side of the street to walk on a sidewalk, they have to cross the street, the same side of the street where the HOA Karen lives. When I was carrying my dog, while walking on the sidewalk about to cross HOA Karen's driveway, this woman pulls into her driveway, not stopping or even slowing down for me. She made direct eye contact with me while she pulled into her driveway. I was so startled I took a step back. I usually cross the driveway on the sidewalk to cross the street to my home, which I was doing at the time. And I always look because my neighbors are known to speed. I did not have my phone on me at the time. Thankfully, I have Ring cameras on my balcony facing the street. My cameras are motion sensitive. One of them caught her turning sharply towards me stepping back, and her speeding up into her driveway. Ring only saves video for 60 days. I pulled random days of video from November and December to compare her driving habits. She makes wider turns and slows down. After comparing it and showing my mother the video, my mother reported her on a local website that addresses traffic safety issues. Within minutes of it being submitted, this red-handing bitch texts me asking me to come directly her for issues with her driving and defending her driving. Shortly after, she messages one of the neighbors asking him if he reported it, then goes on to accuse me of reporting it and claiming that I was walking in the middle of the street. All of this behavior confirms to me that she knows she is guilty of intentionally trying to hit me. I don't want to go to the board with this because they're part of her fan club and enable her behavior. What should I do? What can the HOA management company do? From the moment we stepped foot into this neighborhood, these individuals made it clear that they were unwelcoming. Their disdain for new homes being built and the expansion of the neighborhood was evident in their loud complaints and negative attitudes. The wife, in particular, exhibited hostility towards me. One incident occurred when she spotted me at the pool and noticed the trash can outside, using it as an opportunity to confront me as if I were her unwanted stepchild, scolding me for not bringing the trash can in. This encounter was just one example of their ongoing rudeness and unwelcoming behavior since the day we moved in. As a newcomer to the neighborhood, I was unaware of the protocol regarding the trash can, but after the confrontation, I am certain I will never assist with it again. The situation escalated further when the husband, who happens to be the HOA vice president, took issue with my 90-pound teenager using the swings. These swings, anchored in the ground with heavy chains, seemed perfectly suitable for children of all sizes. However, he approached my daughter, berated her, and even targeted her brother, who was simply standing on a nearby steel table. Despite both of them asserting that they live in the neighborhood, he persisted with fear and intimidation tactics. His final argument was that the swings were meant for littler people, adding insult to injury. What kind of miserable existence must one lead, and what sort of loathsome, joy-hating ogre does one have to behave in such a manner? It's truly baffling. How could someone find joy in berating children and imposing their arbitrary rules on harmless activities? My daughter, whose use of the swings serves as therapy, has frequented them daily for the past year. This man, seemingly oblivious to her needs, has undoubtedly witnessed her there countless times as he strolls his little dog over to relieve itself on the community lawn. It's infuriating to think that he prioritizes enforcing his misguided notions of appropriate use over the well-being of a child. What are your thoughts on this situation, and what actions would you take in response? An HOA president actively assaulting a minor, or anyone for that matter, repeatedly is grounds for a restraining order. This situation becomes even more serious given the gender dynamics at play, with him being male and my daughter being female. It's alarming to think that such behavior is not only condoned but also perpetuated by someone in a position of authority within the community. While I hope it doesn't come to that extreme, obtaining legal counsel seems necessary if my children continue to endure abuse and harassment in public. Assault, as defined by the law, clearly applies here, and it's important to take action to protect my children and hold this individual accountable for his unacceptable behavior. Having a neighbor constantly approaching and intimidating my child is a serious concern that needs to be addressed. This individual's behavior is not just unsettling, it's downright disturbing. The fact that he continually targets my daughter with his aggressive and intimidating demeanor is beyond unacceptable. It's as if he's fixated on her, and that's something no parent should tolerate. Imagine this scene. My daughter, innocently enjoying her time on the playground swings, finds herself repeatedly accosted by this neighbor. Picture the atmosphere thick with tension as he looms over her, his voice dripping with hostility. It's a situation straight out of a nightmare. This neighbor's bizarre fixation with my child's activities borders on obsession, and it's absolutely unnerving. Furthermore, the thought of this strange individual lurking around our home, watching my daughter's every move, sends chills down my spine. The sanctity and safety of our own space are compromised by his presence. I can't help but feel a sense of urgency to protect my child from this unwelcome intrusion. It's clear that this weirdo, as many have aptly put it, needs to stay far away from my daughter. His behavior is not only inappropriate but also potentially dangerous. As a parent, my priority is ensuring the safety and well-being of my child, and I will take whatever measures necessary to achieve that, including seeking legal assistance if his harassment continues. Rogue board member taking legal action without board approval. In our HOA, we have 4 units and 4 board members, so it seems like it would take 3 votes to achieve a majority decision, right? Well, not according to Karen. She has a different take on things. Currently, we have 1 unit behind on dues, owing $5,500. Surprisingly, the HOA hasn't really suffered from it. Last summer, we had a tight spot with an insurance payment, but the unit in default made a sizable payment when it was discussed, via group text, thanks to Karen, and now we find ourselves with a nice cushion in our finances. In our HOA, everyone has access to monthly bank statements, ensuring transparency in our financial matters. Karen, who resides in Unit D, takes a proactive approach when it comes to addressing issues, especially concerning the delinquent unit, Unit A. After each monthly statement is released, Karen initiates group texts discussing the delinquent payments of Unit A. Not stopping there, she has also assumed the role of debt collector, independently sending a certified letter to Unit A, threatening legal action if the dues are not paid promptly. Remarkably, these actions have been taken without any involvement or consultation with the HOA board, despite Karen holding a 25% stake in it. This unilateral decision-making by Karen has raised concerns among other board members about proper governance and collaboration within the association. Technically, I'm in charge of the HOA, which means all mail comes to me, and I ensure that bills are paid promptly. However, when it comes to making decisions, we operate on a voting basis. I, residing in Unit B, maintain frequent communication with Unit A, aiming to understand their perspective and address any concerns they may have. On the other hand, Unit C has been noticeably absent from meetings and rarely participates in group texts, making it challenging to gather their input on important matters. Meanwhile, Karen, who lives in Unit D, has a tendency to stretch the truth and exaggerate issues, which can lead to misunderstandings within the community. Despite these challenges, I strive to maintain open communication and uphold the principles of fairness and transparency within our HOA. In the last group text, minus Unit A, as usual, Karen took center stage yet again. She claimed she had been asking for information on when Unit A would catch up on their dues for 18 months, but in reality, it had only been 7 months. Furthermore, she alleged that Unit A was refusing to schedule a meeting with her, which she claimed was a violation of the bylaws. However, this was also untrue, as a meeting had been held at her insistence 7 months ago. Additionally, Karen complained that Unit A hadn't responded to her, despite her sending a certified letter. However, the reality was that Unit A had responded, albeit not to her satisfaction. This tendency of Karen to misrepresent facts and exaggerate situations adds to the challenges of managing the HOA and resolving conflicts within the community. In response to Karen's frustration with Unit A's delinquency, she stated that she didn't know what to do other than pursue legal action. Unit C, who had been silent for months, surprisingly chimed in, agreeing with Karen's proposed course of action. Sensing the urgency of the situation, I suggested that we should attempt to meet with Unit A first to discuss the issue. However, Karen dismissed the idea, claiming that they would just ignore her, making a meeting impossible. Despite this, Karen took matters into her own hands and sent a demand text to the group, threatening legal action if Unit A didn't respond within 3 days. This unilateral decision-making by Karen, bypassing the opportunity for dialogue, highlighted the growing tension within the HOA and raised concerns about the fairness and effectiveness of her approach. Before you say, "Why is this in text?" it's important to note that Karen has been repeatedly asked to stop sending group texts regarding the delinquent Unit A. Despite these requests, she continues to do so. Unit A has made it clear that they will only respond through email, although sometimes I find myself caving and responding to Karen's texts. Most of the communication regarding Unit A comes from Karen, with little to no responses from the rest of the group. After 3 days pass, Karen finally receives an email back from Unit A, refuting her claims and reminding her that any action regarding the HOA must be voted on. However, Karen seems undeterred and responds defensively, saying, "I already started legal action this morning. What's not true about what I said?" This exchange highlights the breakdown in communication within the HOA, with Karen acting unilaterally and seemingly disregarding the need for collective decision-making and consensus. It also underscores the importance of following proper procedures and respecting the democratic process within the association. And she sends that to the group text. In response, I make it clear, for the record, I am not on board with legal action. Following my statement, there is radio silence. It seems my dissenting opinion hasn't been received well, and the conversation abruptly ends. As for dealing with Karen's actions, it's clear that communication alone isn't resolving the issue. I may need to consider other approaches, such as discussing the matter with other board members to see if there's a consensus on how to address her behavior. Additionally, reaching out to Karen directly in a private conversation to express concerns about her unilateral decisions and the need for consensus building might be necessary. Regarding the legal action Karen mentioned, given the age and shared nature of the property, it's possible she could pursue legal action related to the delinquent dues, such as placing a lien on the property. However, without proper authorization from the HOA board, any legal action would likely be invalid. This HOA situation is unique due to its very old governing documents and the shared utilities among the 4 townhomes. The building's historical significance as a beautiful brick structure built in 1905 adds another layer of complexity to the governance and maintenance of the property. Updating and clarifying the governing documents could help provide clearer guidelines for addressing issues like delinquent dues and dispute resolution.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.